Hi, I'm BJ Novak, and my favorite cinema is the Brattle Theater in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I learned about the Brattle because I would read the art section of the paper and I would see, all the movies that I hadn't heard of. And they tended to be playing at the Coolidge Corner Theater and the Brattle Theater. And I would take the subway into town to see them by myself. And the one I always enjoyed most was the Brattle Theater.
The Brattle Film Foundation is the nonprofit that programs and operates the Brattle Theater, which has been a single-screen repertory cinema since 1953 in this same location the whole time in Harvard Square, Cambridge, Massachusetts. There really are people who can live in Cambridge their entire lives and never even know the Brattle exists. We're not street-facing. So it does have this feeling of it being a secret space. You walk into it and it's this tiny little lobby, and then you walk up these stairs, and then you walk into this completely other space that's not like any other movie theater because it is a historic space. The architecture is literally from 1890. There's just all these interesting little things about the space because it's so old inside. And we're lucky it's still standing. Harvard Square is right next to Boston, right outside of Harvard University. Because of its proximity, there's a lot of tourists that come through, there's a lot of students, and it's been a destination for a long time as sort of a hub for arts and culture for the city.
I mean, the Brattle's relationship with Harvard University is geographical. We're essentially in the backyard of Harvard here, but it also is really simpatico. I mean, we don't see as many Harvard students now as we used to because streaming and home video is so prevalent a way that people experience movies now, but we do still have a much larger percentage of students coming to see movies here than you would see an art house theater in another part of town even. So it's a place of discovery.
What I love about watching a movie at the Brattle Theater is that you're watching it with other film fans who generally don't know what to expect. It's not the kind of movie people have seen again and again, but you're watching it with other people who are there to explore a movie. It's like the off-Broadway version of a movie.
One of the things that I think is really special about the Brattle is that it's been a repertory cinema since it was founded in 1953. Through those decades, so much has changed in the movie industry. The rise of television as a competition, home video, now on demand and streaming. A lot of movie theaters have had to adapt and change their programming model. And that's been a real luxury and privilege of the Brattle that it hasn't.
We program the Brattle in 2-month chunks. We are always looking to try and make that 2-month chunk as diverse as we can in terms of voices and perspectives and eras and sort of generations of film. We also look at the year as a whole and what we have been playing. So we start from this kind of like, what haven't we shown recently? What do we feel like speaks to what's going on in the world today? Or, what filmmakers are making new movies, what filmmakers are people talking about, as well as what independent or international films that are new that we might be doing runs of are happening, and how can we jump off of those sometimes and do programming that's influenced by the new films that we might be playing.
For sure, the classic experience for me at the Brattle is Casablanca on Valentine's Day. That is just one of the great movies of all time. That actually is one of the great movies of all time. When I watched Humphrey Bogart, I was like, oh, maybe I could be a leading man, because here's like a long-faced, kind of sad-looking intellectual who's like really cool in a movie. So maybe you don't have to look like Brad Pitt. So like for me, that was inspiring. But the real answer is just, it's such a great tradition, and that's what movie theaters are about in a way.
We decided that playing Casablanca on Valentine's Day was a good thing to do, but Bogart has been a staple of Brattle programming since really 1953.
When the Brattle was new, the operators would play a Bogart series, a Humphrey Bogart series every final period. It was this sort of study period before finals where there's no classes and they're sort of preparing for finals.
Those programs just drew hundreds of people to the theater to see Humphrey Bogart movies. And Casablanca in particular became kind of like the original Rocky Horror Picture Show.
The Brattle changed in very few ways, which is part of what I like about it. The seats, I think, are still a little uncomfortable, so it weeds out all the casual film goers. I think they got a new projector, and they were looking for donations, and I thought, oh, it'll be the BJ Novak projector. But it was, at the time, too expensive for me.
We're rear screen projection here at the theater, and we're probably the only cinema in the United States that still has this mode of projection. Instead of being a reflective surface like you would find in a normal movie theater, the Brattle screen is translucent. What the audience is seeing is an image projected onto the surface rather than an image reflected from the surface. We hear stories over the years from different filmmakers who maybe went to Harvard or another school in the area, and they say, you know, yeah, I studied movies in college, but I got my real film education at the Brattle. It's heartening to know that old movies can still influence contemporary filmmakers and people working in the industry today. It is our mission to get people to see movies in theaters. It is our mission to to celebrate film.
I think the reason to watch a movie in a theater is that art used to be in charge of us. That is an important aspect. It's a line in the movie, actually. It's about how we used to listen to other people without controlling the experience. We would go to a theater and not know what was going to play and not have the option to watch something else after 5 minutes. We used to buy an album, not knowing every song that was going to be on it. And we used to listen to people's opinions without being able to skip to the next podcast. And I think that's true, unfortunately, in so many aspects of our lives, that we just want to control the conversation, want to control who we meet, want to control when we meet them, when we talk to them. And it makes us disconnected even when we feel we're connected. So I think going to the theater with other people is a very small way that we stay in touch with listening to other voices. I'm in Texas, where this family just lost their daughter to an opiate overdose, but the brother says it was a murder.
What do you really think is going on here?
Looks like 2 pairs of cowboy boots.
Calling out an APB to find 2 men wearing cowboy boots.
Vengeance, now playing only in theaters.